All right, so trade recap. Today I got railed. I was bearish today, and again, sometimes you be losing trades. So the market's just been bullish as fuck recently. But starting off on the daily time frame, we were already pretty extended. Okay, on ES and on NQ. I wanted equilibrium of this extension from this consolidation right here down into equilibrium of this range. That shit was not delivered at all, okay? But that's what I initially wanted. I wanted to be bearish on top of the fact that, once again, let me remove this. We had an SMT divergence. We have these high time frame highs right here and these high time frame highs. And then on ES, we had these high time frame highs and then these high time frame highs. Obviously, market didn't seem to care about that much. Okay, and then moving on to that, we also had lower time frame hourly liquidity sweep. We swept out liquidity here, started making a move down on ES, liquidity sweep, started making a move down. Okay, on top of that, today just wasn't my day. Not that that's a reason for why I lost, but let me leave that there. On top of that, I wanted to at least see, for me to go for longs, we see this 4-hour time frame, right? Even if, right, there's a reason why I had this blue line here. Even if market wanted to go long, this is why I had the blue line, I was like, oh, well, we're retracing on the 4-hour, we would at least come to equilibrium. Market wasn't about that today. Didn't even want to go there. So, in turn, I just listed all the reasons why I was incorrect today, but that was why I had a bearish bias. Moving on to that, coming into market open, right here, market opened on ES. Okay. Oops. All right, and we had a bearish SMT once again. So on NASDAQ smoking on that gas pack, we had, boom, these highs right here, and ES, and these highs right here, lower highs. On ES, we had these highs right here, and higher highs. And on top of that, we filled in the equilibrium of this range. And on top of that, we filled in this 5-minute fair value gap to the 50% mark. Pretty fucking gorgeous shorts if you ask a guy like me. Pretty sexy. And it was really sexy for a solid amount of time. Okay, I went short after price disrespected this bullish fair value gap along with, or sorry, not along with breaking structure, but I went short after that. Stops above these highs. And my first take profit was right here, and I was going to leave extended take profit, like a couple contracts, for equilibrium. Okay, I was super lit. I was like, price is dumping. Psych. We took out these lows. We end up moving higher. Let's see how I could have done better today. I'm a pretty arrogant and egotistical ass motherfucker, and looking at what was going on today, I kind of would like to say that I wasn't in the wrong, but let's try and break this shit down to see what I should have seen to make myself just be a better trader, and how could I have done better. So that was the one trade that I took for the day. Didn't take anything else. I didn't take anything on NASDAQ, just the ES trade. So with that being said, let's remove all these drawings and let's see what we should have done today. How could we have done better? All right, so high time frame. Right now, let's mark out market open real quick. It's going to be beneficial for me and for you guys. Okay, look at us going above and beyond with the classes. So I'm not going to lie, on ES, we mentioned this for the reason for why we were bullish on Friday, was that we had boom, bullish SMT on the 4-hour. And I didn't really think, for whatever reason, that would have carried into this next week. But clearly it did, so that should have been the first thing that I should have noticed. Second thing would have been trying to see if price had reached equilibrium yet, which unfortunately on ES it didn't. I think that was kind of my biggest reason for being bearish for the day, was just plain and simple the range lows up to the range highs on both of these. We never hit equilibrium, and we didn't really have many bullish confluences within here. So again, we're not going to throw a pity party for ourselves and say that we should have been right. We have to understand that we were wrong. Okay, so how could we have avoided being wrong? Well, we did have a high time frame liquidity sweep to the downside right when market opened. Same thing here on ES. High time frame liquidity sweep to the downside right when market opened. Okay. On top of that, we see boom, liquidity sweep, break of structure, boom, price legs up again. And then we break down. Okay, obviously, I wanted to see shorts. I took shorts off of this. And that was beneficial for a little bit until, boom, we break structure right back to the upside. And I should have realized, hold on, wait a minute. Right here, 950 is the macro. Right when the macro hits, we sweep liquidity. We break structure to the upside. We invalidate this bearish fair value gap. On top of that, come through, fill in this bullish fair value gap. Give us confirmations out of it. That should have been my main reasoning on looking to be bullish. Again, do I necessarily think that this was like super high confluence trade? Me personally, not necessarily. Like, even trying to break this down so it works out in the bullish favor, like obviously we can go down to the lower time frames and really just draw up whatever the fuck to show that it should have been bullish today. But for me, on the high time frames, I don't necessarily see too much besides the obvious uptrend that we're in currently. This looks like a freaking altcoin chart right now, where the consolidation is just sideways movement and then up only. Which can throw some things off. And it definitely threw me off today because I really thought that we were going to at least get equilibrium of that 4-hour range hit. But again, there wasn't much for us to make out of the high time frame bullish bias. So in turn, I had a bearish bias, and I ended up getting burned because we swept liquidity and price wanted to move up from there. You know, how could I have capitalized? I guess this is another good way to look at things, is how could I have capitalized after the fact that I got stopped out? Well, for me, it was pretty obvious back when I was looking at the charts after getting stopped out. It was during this down move. And I was like, okay, well, we swept liquidity during the macro. We get all these bullish confirmations out of it. Price is probably going to be bullish for the rest of the day, at least up until relative equal highs on the hourly time frame, which was bank, and bank. You know, we had a bunch of low resistance liquidity residing here, and up here. Okay, so once I saw that to the upside, I very well could have scaled in. I just didn't want to go heavier on the risk for the day. Okay, but for me, the obvious and apparent long entry was seeing this bearish fair value gap right here get invalidated by this candle, creating this bullish fair value gap, price entering it, and then giving a rejection out of it. That, to me, was the obvious bullish entry. Stops probably underneath the invalidation of that fair value gap. And then from there, I probably would have just targeted. And again, obviously, this is complete hindsight. targeted previous hourly highs, these hourly highs, and then further. But again, this is obviously hindsight. This is how I would have loved to have traded for the day, have a 1 to 13 RR. But that just quite simply wasn't the case for me today. So again, I'm always going to be open and honest with you guys on the trades that I take. And me being wrong within the market, I think that's essential for new traders to learn and figure out that, hey, losses are normal. The best traders within the market, and by all means, I'm not calling myself the best trader ever, but I'm definitely a good trader. Good traders take losses too. So that's honestly how I would have, and kind of what I saw when I was at the gym today, how we invalidated this. And I was like, look, from these swing lows up to these swing highs, we did come down into a discounted price range, along with us coming into a 5-minute fair value gap. There's like infinite amounts of confluences within here. So we have discounted price range, 5-minute fair value gap. We have an order cock right here that gets tapped into. We can draft a bunch of shit. We have a breaker block right here that gets tapped into. We invalidated this 5-minute fair value gap. There literally so many confirmations to the upside after I had gotten stopped out, right? So that's probably how I would have gone about it if I did want to take another trade. I mean, obviously, again, this is in hindsight, so you never know. I could have still been on a short bias, but once I saw this happening when I was at the gym, I was like, yeah, I was wrong for the bias for the day, and that's all right. But yeah, that's pretty much the trade that I took for the day. Hopefully you guys gain something beneficial out of this, just like I did, because again, this is kind of when I would have flipped biases once we see that sweep break, and then we see that leg down into the equilibrium of these range lows up to these range highs, and then see more bullish confirmation out of there. It's hard to debate that would end up wanting to go lower. So I'm glad that I got out when I did. Unfortunately, I did get stopped out. I couldn't have set a take profit here. It would have been a bad risk to reward. So it is what it is, man. On to another day. Tomorrow, I think we have some news. Retail sales at 8:30 a.m. shouldn't cause much within the market. It's an hour before market open. But yeah, Mastermind Jits. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, and then again at 1, and then YouTube Jits. I'll see you guys in the kick stream. I'm gonna go ahead and end this trade recap now.